Hey there, we are live from Midtown Comics. I am Henry. It is Monday. Happy Monday to you. It was a wonderful weekend. It's Cyber Monday today. Of course, that means last week was Thanksgiving, so there was lots of stuff to be thankful for. And I'll tell you what I am thankful for. It's Marvel right now. Marvel Legacy. We are in the thick of it. We've got a lot of them in front of us and a lot of cool stuff that we're going to talk about on this week's Midtown's Marvel Mondays. If you guys have any books you want to hear us talk about more, comment on here. Let us know. Give us your feelings. Give us your thoughts. Lots of cool stuff coming out and lots of stuff that we would love to show off for you guys. So we're going to get started. We're going to go through. We got 13 books in front of us. There was a misprint for those of you who are curious about Monsters Unleashed this week. It did come out, but there was a misprint, so it was recalled. So we're going to hold on Monsters Unleashed for the time being. But everything else is in front of us. 13 books. Let's get started. And starting us off, we've got issue number 167 of Black Panther from Ta-Nehisi Coates and Leonard Kirk. So this, first off, this cover, awesome. I love this cover. It's one of my favorite covers of the week because it's really cool. It's really playful. You get Claw, the Master of Sound, and you get Black Panther. And of course, Claw's on the cover because it is Claw Stands Supreme. So we're seeing the reemergence of Claw in Black Panther's world. Of course, he is one of his most persistent foes, and I've always liked the guy because he's just corny and gimmicky. But what I actually really like about this book is Ta-Nehisi Coates does a really good job of taking these characters that could be silly. You know, any character can be kind of silly if you don't treat him seriously, but Ta-Nehisi Coates does, and I really like that. One of the things he does in this issue that I really dig is he brings in Thunderball. Now, this is really great because I'm a big Wrecking Crew fan. I always thought that the Wrecking Crew was really awesome and that they have a lot of really great characters because it's a fun gimmick. You know, they're an interesting group of guys. But here we actually get to see that they're being taken in, like Thunderball is being treated seriously. He is, you know, a scientist first and foremost before he had this giant wrecking ball. And so I really like that. And I really like that the way the story is progressing. Show off some of the cool art from Leonard Kirk here, who really does a good job. I'm really enjoying what they're doing with this Claw Stand Supreme storyline. And I also just think that this is great because it really gives us a vivid feeling of Wakanda as we get closer and closer to the Black Panther movie. I already feel like I know it so well from the books. And even if you know, I'm not a huge Black Panther reader. I've read some Black Panther here or there. So getting to really immerse myself into the world of it now is a treat. And yeah, there's just some cool stuff. Show off some other stuff. Got a lot of stuff going on with the Panther gods. I don't want to spoil everything for you, but it is great. It is worthwhile. Ta-Nehisi Coates is an amazing writer, and he's been doing some great stuff with Black Panther. Now, as we move on, we've got another character who has a bright future. Of course, that's Captain Marvel. And, you know, we're all excited for her bright future, but now we are exploring her dark origins, taking a step into the past of the character and actually going into I don't really know. I don't really know what's going on yet. It's kind of a mystery. We're seeing like this weird alternate reality almost that's going on with Carol Danvers. Margaret Stoll's been, of course, on this book for quite some time now, really doing a great job and handles the character of Carol really well. And we see here after last issue where she kind of went through into this other world. She's now meeting up with this bizarro version of Alpha Flight. And it's really fun. We get to see, you know, Sasquatch and Puck as they are in this other world. My favorite little running gag is that Sasquatch is bald and Puck has flowing hair. I think that's really funny. Just, you know, simple stuff like that is cute. It's fun. And we also get to see some really interesting stuff going on here with the alternate reality version. Spoiler, I guess, spoiler, but the alternate reality version of Black Widow, who you do see on the cover. So to give you guys a little bit of context for why Captain Marvel is punching, you know, somebody who did not have a good 2017, now we get to see some interesting storylines progressing. And also, I really dig the end of this issue. And I don't want to spoil that for you because there is a character who appears at the end of this issue that I think does fit the storyline, and I really dig the design that they went with here. So some cool stuff in Captain Marvel. If you haven't been reading it, issue 126, some great stuff. Now moving on, we've got the Invincible Iron Man, who's missing. Brian Michael Bendis has been writing Iron Man for quite some time. This is issue 594, and There's some really cool stuff going on here. So last issue, the storyline's called The Search for Tony Stark, and there's a giant blank spot in the middle of the cover. So I don't think it's a spoiler for me to say that Tony Stark has gone missing. Tony Stark is gone at the last issue. All of a sudden, his body, his comatose body, where he's been ever since Civil War II, vanished. Where'd he go? So that's kind of the mystery that we're finding ourselves in right now. So we get to see Tony Stark's supporting cast, his family, his friends, all kind of freaking out. And at the same time, we see that they've been kicked out of Stark. They're no longer allowed to represent the company. So we actually get to see what I think is really great. We get to see Hijack. Now, Hijack was a character that was used in Brian Michael Bendis' Uncanny X-Men run from a few years back. So I really like that he brought him back because I like when these characters are introduced and we see them, how they operate in the real world. So Hijack has the mutant ability that he can control any vehicle. That is not a guy you want to mess with. So, of course, there's an army of cars chasing off after Ironheart. And then we get like an entire squadron of jets chasing after her. Some really cool action sequences. Really great art here. That was Stefano Caselli art I was showing you right now. Now here's some Alex Maleev as well. And I like the way that they split the art duties here because Stefano Caselli focuses on all of the story arc stuff that has to do with Riri Williams, and Alex Maleev gets to draw the bad guys. And that's some awesome stuff because Alex Maleev really plays well in shadows and really does some great work whenever he teams up with Brian Michael Bendis. They've worked together a number of times, and I really like what's going on here. Cool double-page spread, right? And hey, look, there's Wrecker from the Wrecking Crew. I was just talking about them. Really great to see popping up in some good books. And, I like Armadillo's in the background. I like Armadillo. I always feel bad for him, though. I just want him to do right. But, good book. Invincible Iron Man's been doing some cool stuff. If you're a fan of Iron Man and you haven't been reading the book, check out issue 593. That's the beginning of the storyline. You guys can jump in on this storyline. Really accessible and really cool stuff. Now, moving on, we have the brand new issue of Luke Cage, issue 167. Now, this is Caged, a nice play on words as Luke Cage finds himself behind bars once again. Now, that's terrible. If imagine, you go all these years, you're stuck in jail for a crime you didn't commit, and then you get thrown back in jail again. It's terrible. That's reliving like your worst nightmare. And it definitely is putting Luke in a desperate situation. We get to see some cool stuff here. David Walker has been doing this book for a while, and we see that things aren't quite what they seem. Luke finds himself in prison because of the Ringmaster. And the Ringmaster is... he's mesmerizing all these people, hypnotizing them, mind controlling them, making them do all these horrible things. And now Luke is fighting for his life. Some interesting stuff here. And I also really like the way that they play up Luke's physical attributes and how you can get around them to a certain degree. I think that they do some really interesting stuff here, psychologically and mentally, really showing what Luke's weaknesses are. David Walker has been writing the guy for a couple years now, and he's been doing some really good work. And I am super excited for where next issue heads as we see some crazy stuff lurking in the future. Does not look too good for Luke, which is a real shame. I like Luke. I want him to be happy. I want him to just relax with the wife, with the kids, hang out, have fun. I guess not. But a book that is having a lot of fun. And first issue in the Marvel Legacy era is Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, issue number 25. Woo! So Moon Girl, Devil Dinosaur is really fun, and this is a book that you're going to hand to your kids. This is a book that is a lot of fun for the adults out there. I read it. I'm an adult. I enjoyed it. But it's also a book that I think will resonate on a special level with the kids. A couple different covers here. We've got this one, and we've got the John Tyler Christopher cover as well, the trading card variants, which I've been enjoying those. But let's play with this one for a minute. And there's some really good stuff going on here. The art is top-notch from Natasha Bustoff, and Brandon Montclair has been doing some really good stuff. And I'm really enjoying this. Also, this is great because who's that? That is the Thing, and that is the Human Torch. And we're getting to see some follow-up on some of these Fantastic Four plot threads, and I really appreciate that because recently Lunella has been named the smartest girl in the world, the smartest person on the planet. So naturally, you kind of brings your mind to wonder about Reed Richards and what his role would be. But of course, Reed is lost in space. So we don't know where he is. We have no idea. This is following up on that a little bit, and I do appreciate that. I think that there's some really fun art here, really great, really energetic. This is a book that is so easy to hand off. You know, you ever see a kid's face light up when they're reading Moon Girl? It really is something fantastic to behold. And this is also really cool because it's got a lot of nuggets in there for the fans, the classic fans. Of course, we're doing a lot of Fantastic Four stuff. I mean, the storyline is called Fantastic 3. And you'll also see Silver Surfer emerges fresh off of his critically acclaimed Dan Slott run. He is now popping up here. Some cool stuff going on in this book. If you're not reading Moon Girl, Devil, Dinosaur, give it a shot. You know, I bet if you have already read the book, you probably fell in love with the book. You probably read the book because it's worth it and you keep reading it. But if you guys haven't tried the book, give it a shot because it's really great and it's a new jumping on point. Issue number 25. Have a little fun, you know? Now, we're going to move on to the brand new issue of Royals, issue number 11 from Al Ewing and Javier Rodriguez. Doing some great stuff here. Now, let me just find some real pretty pages. We also have, what is it? It's Alvaro Lopez. I was right. I was going to say that, and I wasn't sure. Alvaro Lopez doing some of the art here, so you'll see his pages here. And then we'll go through a little bit more, and boom, literally the next page, Javier Rodriguez. Some great art here. Some crazy stuff is going on in this. So if you guys have been reading Royals, you know that they've gone into space. They want to find the origin of the species, you know, learn all the stuff about what makes an Inhuman an Inhuman and what makes a Kree a Kree. And it really is pretty cool as they try to find the source of this new power. Flint, dude, okay. So you see that giant blue hand there, that really crazy looking icy hand, and you see that face down at the bottom that looks like it's got a skeleton reveal underneath? That's Flint, because Flint is going through some changes. Now, we've all gone through some changes at one point in our life or another. Flint is going through some extreme changes, and it really is interesting to see how his powers are evolving. There's some interesting stuff going on here, and I really like the way that Al Ewing is handling this with the appropriate gravitas. Some cool art here as well. Really want to show this off. I'm really digging what he's been doing on this book, and there's something important that happens in this book that if you've been reading, you know that they've been building up to. It's something they've been talking about since the very beginning of the Royals series, and it's a good payoff, and it's a sad payoff, and it's not everybody makes it home, right? That's what they've been saying since the beginning. I'll say that. Some good stuff going on in this book, though. Really happy with it, and the art is gorgeous. Javier Rodriguez and Alvaro Lopez really do some great stuff. Now, of course, a lot of these books are books that are already out on the stands. Some fun stuff, but let's take a trip down memory lane. Let's go back to the 90s. Let's bring back Silver, Sable, and the Wild Pack, issue number 36. Now, this is a lot of fun. Krista Faust and Paulo Siqueira on this issue, and this was a great read. So I've got this buddy, right? I've got this buddy who's a huge Silver Sable fan, crazy Silver Sable fan, and I never quite got it. You know, I always liked Silver Sable. I always thought she was cool. She is one of my favorite supporting members of the Amazing Spider-Man book, but I never read her on her own, so I didn't really realize just how awesome she is. And you could see in these Paulo Siqueira pages that the character is great and ripe for more stories, because this is great. It's kind of, you know, almost like Black Widow with more of an edge, you know, because Black Widow's like the spy, but she's also like good. So, you know, Black Widow's always kind of going to do the right thing. Silver Sable is a mercenary through and through. So she does not care. She will, you know, she's a nice mercenary, if there is such a thing. So she'll, you know, help out some people along the way. But there's some crazy action going on in here. And Paulo Siqueira's art is incredible. He really has a great grasp on how to build an action sequence. And I really like what he does here. I really liked his work a couple years back on Amazing Spider-Man. He's done some great stuff over time, and it's awesome. It's just awesome. It's just really cool. And honestly, this is just for a one-shot, because this is a one-shot, so you don't have to worry about reading some whole series, even though it's issue number 36, honoring the classic 90s book. It's part one of one. It's a one-shot. Pick it up. It's so cool. It's actually, this was one of my favorite surprises of the week. Great action in this book. Really cool stuff. And like a couple of these books, we've got the trading card variant, which I really like, because Silver Sable's got a very distinct look. Some cool stuff. Not bad so far, right? Well, it's gonna get better because it is Amazing Spider-Man. Renew your vows. A couple different covers here. We've got, look at that. Look at all those pretty covers. Really cool stuff as we, of course, see the evolution of Spinneret and the evolution of Annie. You know, she's really grown as a character throughout the course of the series. Spiderling, no more. Well, I guess she is. She doesn't want to be. That's kind of the joke that they make throughout the issue, is that now it's 8 years later. She has grown up, and now we have a new writer. Jody Houser jumps onto the book with Nick Roque on art, and it really is cool. There's a lot of fun stuff here, and I really like the dynamic of Peter Parker and Annie Mae. And there's some cool stuff here. We'll just show off a couple of these pages. I really like this because it does bring back kind of those classic Spider-Girl vibes of, you know, Spider-Man being the dad for a change, and he's not put together at all. If you've ever, you know, Peter Parker, he's a mess. This doesn't change that. He's still a bit of a hot mess of a person, and I really like how much fun this is and how he struggles to, you know, imagine being, well, you don't have to imagine, this is, you know, largely true, but being the nerdy dad and trying to relate to like your teenage daughter, that's not going to be an easy thing, and especially not when you're dealing with spider powers all the time. So I really like that, and of course Mary Jane is Spinneret in this world, and there's some fun stuff here. We get to see some cool action with the Lizard as well, and this book is just really great if you are a classic Spider-Man fan because it's got a lot of references to some of the continuity, and it's also building up the family aspect of Spider-Man. Jody Houser is jumping on, and she's been doing some really great books lately. If you guys have ever checked out her work on books like Faith, she really has a great grasp on how to write these strong, cool, fun characters, and she's a natural fit here. Really excited and really optimistic for this book's future. Now, in a completely different light, we've got SpiderMan Deadpool, issue number 24. Now, this is, you know, we got fun Spider-Man in Renew Your Vows, you know? We got to see him kind of goofing off, hanging out with his kid. Here he is just really annoyed every second of the day, and you can't blame him because he has to share top billing with Deadpool. And there's some really cool stuff here. Chris Bachalo's on art, and his art is really cool, really stylized, and I like that. I like the level of detail he brings. I mean, this is crazy. The way that he plays with the art, the way that he uses the shadows. And Robbie Thompson is telling a really fun story where Spider-Man and Deadpool are kind of at odds. They kind of hate each other. They kind of want to rip each other apart. But at the same time, there's a fun villain that I won't tell you, because that's kind of one of the gags of this issue, is who is this villain? Who is this fiend? Well, you got to read it. I won't tell you, but it's awesome. And it actually, it was one of those reveals where I read it and I was like, oh, of course it was, you know, of course that's who it was. It makes perfect sense. Some interesting stuff here. And this makes me happy. Husk. Husk is in it. And I love Husk because Husk is one of my favorite underrated X-Men characters ever. And so we get to see her here. And we also get to see Tabula Rasa come back. And if you guys have read your various Marvel comics over the years, Tabula Rasa pops up every now and then. They do make a joke about the fact that there's, I mean, obviously the term applies to more than just Marvel. But there's some fun stuff here. They make a joke about Lost. And I used to watch Lost, so I liked that little joke. I thought it was fun. And it's a good issue. It's really some cool stuff going on here. And Husk, man, that's my selling point. Spider-Man Deadpool has Husk. Oh, and I guess Spider-Man and Deadpool, you know. But it's great. Really cool stuff. Robbie Thompson, Chris Bachalo. Great team. Great team to put together. Now we're going to move on to Thanos. So we get Donny Cates and we get Jeff Shaw. And we get this cool lenticular cover doing an homage, of course, to the Secret Wars. The original Marvel Secret Wars. Not the one from 2 years ago, but the OG back in the day. So what I like here is I really like the way that they build up the threat of Thanos immediately. We get some of these opening pages. Jeff Shaw does some great art, and he gets to kind of draw everybody. But what I really like is that they place the importance on what is the worst thing that could ever happen? What is the way that things are going to end? Well, Thanos wins. And I really like that. I like the simplicity of that. And I love this double-page spread. It says it right there. Thanos wins. Cool stuff going on in this book, though. Really enjoying it. I really like the voice that Donny Cates brings to the character. Show off some more covers here. And we really get some cool stuff. I really think that he's got some fun, well, fun, some pretty grim stories to tell, to be honest. But I think that they're interesting and compelling stories. And I didn't even mention the best part. I almost forgot the best part. It's totally the coolest thing in this book. Power Cosmic Ghost Rider. That's awesome. So, okay. So this book totally picks up more momentum the further it goes, which I really dig. So once we meet this Ghost Rider, it's just, it just goes. It just is on a roller coaster. And we get to see a lot of these cool characters brought into a more modern concept. You know, Ghost Rider, we don't find out who it is. This isn't, for all we know, it could be Johnny Blaze, it could be Robbie Reyes, it could be all these different characters, and we have no idea of knowing. And that's kind of the fun. And there's some interesting stuff. And the last page, I want to show you, but I'm not going to show you. I'm going to show you. I'll show you because it's cool. It's really cool. What does this mean? At the end of all things, this is what we get? I'm sold. 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 Awesome book. Donny Cates, Jeff Shaw do a great job on it. If you aren't picking up Thanos, pick it up now. A new starting point. It's a good opportunity to read. You know, this is the first part of the storyline, and it's going to be doing some good build-up. You know, of course, we've got the Infinity Gems are back in circulation in the Marvel Universe. We've got the Infinity Wars movie coming out in a few months. You got to find out more about Thanos. You got to read this book. It is really worth it. Totally worth your time. Totally worthwhile. And now we get to one of my favorite little corners of the Marvel Universe. We get to the X-Men books. And so we're going to start off our little X-Men corner with Tom Taylor's all-new Wolverine issue number 27. Juan Cabal on art. And I've really enjoyed this storyline. You know, if you guys watched a couple of these early ones, I wasn't reading all-new Wolverine. I've jumped in a couple different times. I've, you know, dipped my foot into the pool, as it were. And I've read some of the stories, and I have liked what I read, and I just haven't gotten to more. But now, oh man, I'm really hooked. This is actually one of my favorite Marvel Legacy titles now. And part of it is definitely due to the strong handling of Laura as a character, as she is, of course, Wolverine now. She has been for quite some time. And we get to see Daken. And I really like Daken. I really like the way he's been brought into this book. I really want to show you things, but then they're complete spoilers. But I will show you some of these awesome pages, some of these fight scenes from Juan Cabal. Some really cool stuff. I'm really excited to see. Tom Taylor's voice is only growing stronger in the X-Men books. Now, of course, we know X-Men Red is on the horizon, and he will be writing it, and it's going to feature both Laura and Gabby, which I'm very curious to see how she'll fit into that. So this is really the best place where I can touch base and get, get a handling on these characters. And I'm flipping through these last pages. I won't show you, but I'll tell you they're cool. Ooh, that's cool. Yeah, they're all cool. They're awesome. Actually, this book is really great. I'm really enjoying it. Tom Taylor's been doing a great job. He's been on the character for a couple years now, and there's a reason they keep him there. It's because it's great. It's awesome. Check it out. All New Wolverine 27. 25 is the start of this storyline, but you know what I always love about Marvel? There's just a recap page at the beginning. So if you weren't reading the book, pick it up now. Also, this cover, Terry Dodson. Love this cover. With the Orphans of X. That's the name of the storyline. Cool stuff. Now, moving on, we have the Newer Mutants in Cable issue 151. So, Ed Brisson jumped on last issue with 150, which was big old, of course, anniversary issue. And now, things are, Cable's head is on fire here. That's not a good look. I mean, it is if you're Ghost Rider, but not if you're Cable. And there's some interesting stuff going on here as we get to see Cable with his time travel team fighting off against Selene, who, if you guys have ever read, she's in Necrosha. She's really cool in that. She's in a lot of the she's actually in some of the OG New Mutants, which I did an Epic Collection a few months back, so it's got all of the original New Mutant stuff, and she pops up in that. She's a great villain. She's been around for a long time. She was in the Hellfire Club and all these different things, and now we get to see, as Cable travels through time, John Malin on art, and we get to see him gathering the troops as they have to try to figure out what's going on with the externals who are being hunted down. And as a result, we get some reference to some classic characters, which I appreciate. We get to see Gideon brought up, and it looks like we're going to be building up to some stuff going on with him. And I really dig that. You can actually see him right there. There's Gideon. Very cool. You know, he was in that first appearance issue of Deadpool. Gideon was in that first appearance as well. So, cool stuff. Also, Don Malendraw is one of my favorite dupes ever. And dupe is great. You can see some fun little panels here off on the sides of these pages. And also we get to see Armor, and I like Armor. I think she's another one of those X-Men characters that is extremely underutilized. She was, of course, created by Joss Whedon during his astonishing X-Men run, and now getting to see her pop up here is very cool and bodes very well for the future of this book. And yeah, totally. This is another one of those things where I can't show you who's on the last page, but it's somebody who is going to be joining as a friend, as a foe. I don't know. And I'm really curious to see how it plays out because the book has been good so far. Ed Brisson's doing a great job with this, and he's just one of those writers who's really been growing over the last year. Now he's writing Iron Fist. He's writing Old Man Logan, which is going to be getting a Marvel Legacy start this Wednesday, so I'm excited for that. And now he's been doing this too and doing some great work on it. Really digging it. Cool. And to close us off, XMen Gold, issue number 16. So Mark Guggenheim's been writing this, been doing a great job, and we've got Lon Medina on art here. And what I really like is that this issue, okay, storyline, Negative Zone War. Let's get that out of the way. That's already totally a great tease. Cover, X-Men in these weird, crazy uniforms with like cosmic stuff going on in the back. Makes sense. Negative Zone War, right? You open it up, and we've got some really cool payoff for some of the stuff that's been going on in this series so far. Of course, we've had a lot of political rumblings in the series as the world hates and persecutes mutants all the time. That's kind of the whole X-Men thing, big commentary for real-world issues. And there's some really cool stuff here. Can't show you that page. But it's really cool. We get some great action as well, featuring the whole team. And the reason I just joked about I can't show you that page is that something happens in this issue that I don't want to spoil because it's just a nice, genuine, heartfelt moment that if you've been reading this and if you're a classic X-Men fan like myself, you will be really happy about because it's bringing together characters that belong together. You ever see two people and you just think you belong together? That's the way I feel, and it's making me happy. And this book overall has been really cool. I think Mark Guggenheim has been doing a great job with the characters. Hey, look who it is. It's Armor. Armor is in here. Yay. Armor's in 2 books this week. That's like more than she's been in all year. No, she pops up every now and then, but really cool stuff. And really cool series. If you haven't been reading X-Men Gold, this is, once again, a new storyline. So we had Mojo Worldwide unfolded. It was crossover X-Men Blue, Gold. Maybe you didn't want to pick up 2 books. Okay, I can get that. This is one. This is one book. It's back to doing its own thing, and it's some interesting stuff that has a natural cohesion in the greater X-Men universe. And I like that. I like how Mark Guggenheim gets continuity. And so, yeah, and that's it. That's the last one for this week. So that is 13 books in front of me. A lot of cool stuff. We'll go through. We'll mention some quick hits. So if you want political thriller, you got to go with Black Panther. Of course, Ta-Nehisi Coates, issue 167. Some great stuff here. If you want to keep an eye on the horizon of what's going on with Marvel in a few months, check out Thanos, because it's going to be big payoff both for the movie fans and for the comic book fans, as, of course, with all this stuff going on with these Infinity Gems that are popping back up in the books, it's only a matter of time before Thanos gets involved, and it's going to be big, because it's Thanos, and he's big and burly, And if you want something that's easy to jump into that you never read before and you never have to read again, pick up Silver Sable. It's really fun. It's one issue. It's one shot, and it's a great read. Krista Faust is doing a really cool job on this issue, and I really hope that she gets some more stuff with Marvel, because her name I'm going to pay attention to, because she does a great job. And, of course, we've got some other cool stuff. We've got Iron Man. We've got SpiderMan Deadpool. We've got a lot of stuff. Pick up Moon Girl Devil Dinosaur. What's wrong with you? Why aren't you picking this book up? It's so much fun. It's awesome. And really, there are a lot of great books in Marvel Legacy. So thank you for watching. Once again, just comment if there's anything you want to hear us talk about. Swing by. There's going to be a whole new slew of Marvel Legacy books this Wednesday. You can shop with us in store and online. And we'll see you next Monday.